Amid the growing tensions in the Middle East, Israel is preparing for a possible attack from Iran following the incident involving Ismail Haniyeh. The country has been targeted by serious threats and therefore has strengthened its security measures, including advanced air defense systems. Additionally, the United States, Israel's primary ally, has sent new groups of aircraft carriers and F/A-18 Super Hornets to bolster its forces in the region. What truly surprised Iran was Jordan's support, which, despite being an Arab country, decided to ally with Israel. Jordan officially declared that it would stand by Israel in a potential war between the two countries. But what led Jordan to make such a significant decision? Let's explore the most recent details of the events in the Middle East. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, activate notifications, and leave your like to stay updated on all our content. A well-informed employee in Amman stated that Jordan would allow Israel to use its airspace to prevent a potential Iranian attack, despite official contrary statements. This is a matter of national security, and this policy was the same in April when Jordan helped Israel thwart an attack from Iran, said the employee. Jordan, in the end, is an ally of the United States. Jordan officially denied that it would allow Israel to use its airspace to intercept missiles and drones in a potential Iranian attack, which would be a response to what happened with Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Iran accused Israel of being behind the incident, but Israel neither confirmed nor denied any involvement. Reports from April indicated that Amman authorized such actions after Iran launched a series of missiles and drones. The Iranian attack on Israeli territory last April, with more than 300 missiles and drones, even united countries that normally do not support Israel in conflicts, such as the war in Gaza against Hamas. Surprisingly, Jordan was one of those countries that joined the alliance against Iran. Dozens of drones launched by Iran towards Israel were intercepted by Jordanian Air Force jets while flying over the kingdom's airspace. One of the pilots in the Jordanian jets was Princess Salma, the third daughter of King Abdullah II and Queen Rania. Princess Salma, who is Jordan's first female pilot, flew one of the combat jets and downed Iranian missiles and drones during the nighttime attacks on Israeli territory. The king's daughter reportedly neutralized at least 5 Shahd-type kamikaze drones. The military aid from Amman to Israel was received with enthusiasm, but also surprised many Israelis, as the Hashemite kingdom usually harshly criticizes Israel's actions against Hamas and faces strong internal pressure. For some analysts, however, Jordan's intervention was not surprising. Gaith Al-Omari, a Jordanian national and senior fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, stated that the kingdom's decisive support demonstrated the strength of the security alliance between Amman and Jerusalem. Even with all the political tensions between Jordan and Israel, military and intelligence relations between the two countries have never been interrupted. In fact, as political issues became more complicated, cooperation intensified as both countries understood that this alliance was crucial. This understanding is deeply rooted in both Jordanian and Israeli military doctrines. Therefore, Jordan surprised once again by making a second impactful decision against Iran, reaffirming its support for Israel. Israeli military officials announced that Jordan had authorized the use of its airspace by Israeli Air Force jets after the Iranian attacks. With this authorization, the Israeli Air Force IDF jets can now use Jordanian airspace freely in case of future Iranian aerial attacks. This unexpected decision from Jordan was seen almost as a declaration of war against Iran. The idea that Jordanian and Israeli jets were being coordinated by the US military and that the two countries were fighting side by side for the first time probably caught Tehran by surprise. Iran did not expect such explicit support from Jordan to Israel. Although it was expected that Jordan would intercept Iranian aircraft in self-defense with its air defense systems, this new decision to support Israel was an unexpected move widely reported by global media. This Jordanian decision also has an economic background. Israel supplies gas to Jordan through a multi-billion-dollar agreement, as well as water as part of the 1994 peace treaty between the two countries. However, in November, Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, announced that the country would withdraw from a deal mediated by the United Arab Emirates that provided for solar energy supplies to Israel in exchange for desalinated water. In March, there were reports that Amman would extend the agreement for another year, and now, with the growing military cooperation, the economic ties between Jordan and Israel are likely to strengthen even further. Meanwhile, Jordanian diplomatic channels have been working to maintain relations with Israel and reduce tensions in the region. Recently, Jordanian Prime Minister Bishr al-Qassani stated that any escalation in the region could lead to dangerous consequences and that all parties should seek de-escalation. In a statement to his cabinet, Qassani emphasized that Jordan's armed forces would oppose any attempt to compromise the kingdom's security. As for Israel, which now has Jordan's explicit support, the Chief of Staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, warned that the recent Iranian missile and drone attack, which caused minimal damage to an Israeli airbase, would not go unanswered. These statements were made during Halevi's visit to the Negev airbase in southern Israel after 4 Iranian ballistic missiles were intercepted during the attack. In a separate video statement, speaking in English, Halevi stated that the recent attack not only opened new opportunities for cooperation in the Middle East, but also ensured that Iran would face the consequences of its actions. He detailed that the Israel Defense Forces are collaborating in real time with US Central Command, the UK Armed Forces, the French Armed Forces, and other partners in operations involving actions in the air, on land, and at sea. Jordan's diplomatic support for Israel, rather than just a military or security collaboration, surprised Iran, especially given the country's historically anti-Israel stance. This support was seen as an important counterbalance to Iran's growing influence in the region, potentially disrupting its strategic plans. Within Iran, leaders discussed how to respond, with some suggesting a more aggressive stance against Jordan, while others preferred a cautious approach to avoid alienating Iran's allies. During emergency meetings, some, like commanders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, suggested retaliating against Jordan. However, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei warned that such action could result in the permanent loss of Jordan as a potential partner and could negatively affect relations with other countries in the region. There was no clear consensus on the strategy to be adopted, with divisions between those who wanted a firm response to maintain regional influence and those who advocated for a diplomatic solution to prevent Jordan from fully aligning with Israel. For Iran, Jordan's support for Israel signaled the strengthening of a regional coalition against it, which would weaken its hegemonic position and exacerbate sectarian conflicts between Sunnis and Shiites. King Abdullah II's support for Israel had the potential to shift the balance of power in the Middle East, especially weakening Iranian influence in Lebanon and Syria. This forced Iran to reconsider its strategy, perhaps adopting a more defensive and aggressive stance to protect its borders. With the strengthening of the coalition against it, Iran opted for a more cautious approach in response to Jordan's support for Israel. Although Iran attempted to attract Jordan through diplomatic channels, King Abdullah II's firmness frustrated those efforts. The king's support for Israel not only redefined the balance of power in the region, bringing Jordan closer to Israel and Western powers, but also represented a serious setback for Iranian influence in the Middle East. This strategic move by Jordan served as an example for other Arab countries in the region, marking the beginning of a new dynamic in the Middle East, where alliances can form and change quickly, reflecting the complexity and volatility of regional politics. In response to this support, Iran was forced to reconsider its stance towards its allies, and assess the implications of its actions in the context of growing international cooperation with Israel. Additionally, Jordan has consolidated itself as an important ally of Israel and an effective counterweight to Iranian influences, highlighting the potential impact of strategic changes and alliances on the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Jordan's military intervention in favor of Israel demonstrated the kingdom's ability to make bold and strategic decisions to protect its interests and support its allies, even amid complex regional challenges. This decision also marked a new phase in Jordan's international relations and the impact of alliances on the future of Middle Eastern politics. Jordan's actions in allowing Israel to use its airspace and providing military support in response to Iranian attacks not only marked a turning point in the relations between the two countries, but also sent a clear message to Iran about the consequences of its actions. This move highlighted the importance of military cooperation and strategic alliances in regional politics, underscoring the fundamental role that countries' decisions and actions can play in the geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East. Jordan's decision to support Israel and confront the Iranian threat underscores how alliances can rapidly evolve in response to crises and how interdependence between countries can shape the future of international relations. Jordan's role and the international response to its support for Israel are clear examples of how events in the Middle East continue to influence and define the geopolitical landscape of the region.